Aloha and hello out there, everybody. What's going on? This is Miho from the Too Close to Call podcast series, joined, as always, with my co-host Pags, and we are talking everything that you can...
stream it!
That's right, whether it's YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, standard cable, I don't know, anywhere else online... We're bringing to you what you guys need to be checking out there to stay in front of the news cycle.
No doubt, and it's tough keeping up with it. There's a lot of stuff out there.
I'll tell you what, Pags, we've been working extremely hard staying up to date with all this television we have to be watching in order to bring a quality podcast to the listener out there.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, a lot of hours grinding after our 9-to-5 late night job. It's a lot of work watching TV and trying to stay awake, but I think we should kick off the show with Bachelorette talk for guys.
And your car telling you to put your seatbelt on.
No, I'm low on gas.
That's even better.
Oh, yep. So, Bachelorette.
We're already on episode 4.
Down to 15 guys.
Wow, look at that.
And Hannah is getting flustered.
Oh, man. I mean, 15 dudes is a lot of dudes, Pags. I put a post out there where 11 gentlemen got on one rope swing, and the question was, how many dudes is too many dudes?
A lot of dudes. 15 is a bit much. It's about just everybody vying for time for this girl, and my boy, the front runner in my mind, Jed, gets the first one-on-one date to start the day, and it goes phenomenally.
Interesting. What did they do on their date?
Well, they all shipped up to Newport, Rhode Island.
Oh, the beautiful Newport, Rhode Island.
Yes. So he met her in Boston, and they walked around, did a couple sightsees, went to where Cheers was shot, the Cheers bar. They went there and
Sure.
had some beers. And then they ended with going to the Celtics practice facility and playing 2-on-2 basketball with Scary Terry Rozier and Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics.
Oh, wow. And the outcome of the game, I guess, they had to score 2 points for every 10 that the NBA guy scored?
Well, it was Hannah and Jaylen versus Terry and Jed.
Oh, okay.
And Hannah and Jaylen take the victory, and I was just cracking up because they had a scene where Hannah sat down with Jaylen Brown, and Jaylen Brown was trying to give her relationship advice, and it was freaking hysterical.
What was he telling her to do?
He goes, you got to find someone that makes you laugh and give and take. And I was like, good, Jaylen, you're definitely getting paid for this.
Hey, you've been paying attention in the locker room because that's clearly the conversation that's been going on.
Yeah,
Nice,
man. So,
nice.
yeah. It ends well. They had a great day, and they're obviously vibing on each other. And Jed hits her with the ballsy move in telling her that he's a country singer, and the whole reason he went on the show was to promote his name and eventually get like a record deal.
So your boy's not even there for love.
Well, he said he didn't think he was going to find love, and he did find love, and blah, 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 blah. But he was honest with her, and she really dug it.
That's ridiculous, dude. I hate all of that shit.
Oh, it's all so stupid. But what you will like is the group date, because they played rugby, and it got intense at times.
They were playing rugby.
Yes, so the rest of the group guys, there was another one-on-one date. Tyler ends up getting the last one-on-one date. But the rest of the guys go and they play rugby and they split up into teams. And Luke P., who was going bonkers last episode, continues his streak by body slamming Luke S. to the ground. So apparently he doesn't like having another guy with the same name as him. Body slams him, says he felt threatened by Luke S. And dude, Luke P is fucking jacked and ripped, and Luke S looks like a string bean.
It says here that Luke P played a little too rough against the other Luke.
One dude separated his shoulder, so Luke P just gets out of hand, body slams this guy to the ground, says he felt threatened by this little string bean of a dude, and at the cocktail hour after the date, everybody basically tells Hannah they fucking hate Luke P. Luke P sucks. Get rid of his ass. Nobody likes him. And she's like, well, I have feelings for him, but...
Oh, he's now the villain. I kind of dig that.
Yeah, but she's been, like, all about him from the beginning, and all of a sudden it's starting to show his true colors. He ends up smooth-talking her. She doesn't believe Luke S., which Luke S. is all he's doing is telling the truth, and she doesn't believe him, so she gets into her feelings, and the next day is all upset, crying, and she has this date with Tyler. Tyler shows up, and she's like, I'm not all here, I'm not going to be able to give you a fun date, and Smooth Tyler convinces her that he can make it better. I want you when you're good and when you're bad. And they go out, they fish for lobster, end up cooking the lobster, eating the lobster, having a good date.
Smooth Tyler.
Tyler is, he reminds me of the Crimson Chin from Fairly Odd Parents, if you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. So, let's see here. Both Lukes made it out of this week, or were there any surprise exits to end the episode?
It's one of those stupid episodes that ends with a cliffhanger. Luke P. and Luke S. Luke S. is basically like, you lied. You said I was talking about my tequila company and not talking about her. I'm not here for her. I'm here for promoting. And Luke P.'s like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'll tell her the truth. He goes into talk to Hannah and basically tells her, Luke S. just told me to talk him up to you. He's obviously trying to get me to make you like him again, and just completely backstabbing him. And everybody freaks out, and she grabs both Lukes, sits them down, and says, I want you guys to talk it out here and let me get to the middle of it. And that's how the episode ends. No rose ceremony today.
Oh, man. To be determined, ... pops up on the screen.
So Jed, Tyler, and Garrett have roses, and they got the roses on their dates, so it's down to the other ones. Right now, I think it is a two-horse race between Jed and I saw a comment on one of our Instagrams. Shout out to Danielle, who thinks that Pilot Pete is going to take her heart home with him, and I sure think that it's going to come down to Pete and Jed as well. So shout out to her for good looks there.
Yeah, it sounds like we got a couple of months worth of Bachelorette talk coming to you here in the future before we're able to wrap up who Hannah is ultimately going to fall in love with.
And then we got Bachelor in Paradise, which is by far the best part of the Bachelor series because it's just a bunch of horny people on an island.
Let's go. That's some interesting reality TV for you right there.
So what do you got? We're done with Bachelorette talk. What have you been watching?
I spent the last couple of days between last week and now catching up on some cable television TV shows. The first one being Brockmire on IFC. I was able to watch all of season 3, and this one took a different approach to Brockmire, who had in past seasons been an alcoholic, a drug addict, person who spirals out of control, and it was kind of just funny to watch him wreck his way through life and things along those lines. But the end of season 2, he becomes sober. So in this season, he's entirely sober. And this one plays the angle more so of the, even though you're trying to do right by every one of your decisions, you can still have negative impacts and consequences on other people.
Life lessons with Brockmire.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting how they interwove comedy into life lessons, because in this one he's down in Florida where he's calling spring training for a big league club, and his partner is now a former softball African-American lesbian, so they covered every angle they needed to there with that one on IFC. And Brockmire is getting sober. There's, the race relations there that they figure out. There's the sexual relations there that they figure out, as well as him being sober with his family, and ultimately it does have a feel-good aspect to it, but it was just interesting to kind of be like, man, he's trying to do everything right, and shit's still hitting the fan. So for everybody out there who's having a tough time going through a love pattern in life, and even though you're trying to do all the right things, Mr. Brockmire says that everything's going to be okay in the long run.
I love it. I can't wait to watch it. I got to dive into it.
It's good, man. And the other one was The Orville on Fox, where Seth MacFarlane stars as a pretty much a reboot of Star Trek in its own world. And this one's kind of funky as well because it started out as more as a comedy, but as it's evolved here, and I read it was renewed for a season 3, it has kind of settled definitely into more of a drama series where they attack aspects of life as well. They just do it on an intergalactic basis of the main enemy in this season was that of artificial intelligence. And they realized that the one robot with them was ultimately sent to determine whether or not they deserve to live. And they get to this AI's planet where they find out that they turned on their creators because their creators tried to enslave them, and then they became self-aware and realized that they would never be allowed to live as equals. So it played the typical robots become self-aware, we try to contain them, they rebel because we refuse to live with them as equals, so to speak. And through this crisis, the original evil alien species has to come to an alliance with the humans because separate they'll be defeated, but together they'll be able to wipe out this artificial intelligence. So that angle was fun. And then the last 2 episodes, they play the time travel angle of where somebody comes aboard, they send them back in time. She changes a decision in the past, which reflects into the future to where now this artificial intelligence has taken over the solar system and they have to send her back to right the wrongs that she's done. And if you're into time travel, it was certainly an interesting concept on it, but it's one to watch, man. And for some reason, my 15-month-old daughter enjoys watching it. She likes that and Bob's Burgers is what she'll just sit there and watch, as well as Saturday Night Live. Those are the 3 TV shows for some reason that'll just keep her attention.
Nice. Another show I watched, and this has been out since 2006. 3 seasons. It got canceled because of some issues with the director and HBO paying him. This is Deadwood, and they are coming out with a new movie for it, kind of to wrap it up, because it kind of just ended, and you were like left with the main villain is still alive. There's all this shit going on, but it's based off of Deadwood, South Dakota. It was a lawless society where essentially there's no rules, post-Civil War era, and essentially is you could kill people, there's whorehouses, there's everything you could have, and no law to basically say you can't do this. They're separate from the United States of America, even though they're in United States of America, and it's just basically this whole entire city trying to get some structure in it and not just have people dying and killing people for no reason with no repercussions. It's a really good show, and I cannot wait for the new movie to come out.
Interesting, because I still don't know what the hell it's about based on your description, except for it's the Wild Wild West.
That's essentially what it is right there, man. I had no idea that every character was based off of a real character. So you had the Wild Bill Hickok, you had the Calamity Jane, all known cowboys from the past, all in this show. And it's basically just absolute mayhem, just trying to, the main character, Seth Bullock, and Mr. Swearinger are basically trying to keep the peace. Swearinger owns a whorehouse in the town. They have back and forth throughout the show, and it's tough to describe other than it's just absolute mayhem.
I like it. We'll have to check it out and let us know how those seasons play out before we head into the movie.
But we have some breaking news on this show, a end of an era for the Stream My Pod episode, if I can say that.
Oh my God, that's right. I almost forgot. Jeopardy James goes down. He falls just short of the record set by Ken Jennings. He came $58,484 shy of Ken Jennings' win total, which to him was 1 game, and it was fascinating to watch him lose, Pags, because the 3 competitors in this round, himself included, were 3 of the most impressive ones we've seen during this streak, because after the game, Trebek noted it before Final Jeopardy, but they missed 1 question combined in the 2 rounds, and it was in the first round, and I think there was 1 other question where nobody answered. So a total of 2 through 2 rounds, and how he lost In Double Jeopardy, he got the $1,600 question, and then Emma got the $1,200 question. She then called out 800, and then 800 was the daily double.
Oh.
You have to look at that and think, okay, this is a $800 question. That's the second lowest one, so this is going to be a relatively easier question. She obviously had been watching in the past and was like, hey, I'm all in, hit that, and then was able to take the lead into Final Jeopardy to where, once again, everybody got it correct, and she just outran Jeopardy James.
Wow, man. Someone who played his game finally beat him at it, and that's how you want to go out. You change the game of a game show, and probably you're going to see more people playing it like that from here on out.
It was just tricky because he had gotten like 3 in a row, then she gets 1, and the next one she picks was the daily double. And it's like, oh, dude, you were 1 shy of literally getting Ken Jennings' record. She got that question and then guessed correctly on the board.
Man, that's tough. Tough way for our boy to go out. And I guess we're not going to talk about Jeopardy for a while until somebody else comes back with this.
So the next person makes a run, but in order to get our listeners out of here in a timely manner, we'll wrap up with what's taken over Twitter is on Netflix, the new Asian comedy called Always Be My Maybe. There's a scene where Keanu Reeves and his long, luscious hair plays the sexy white gentleman that she is hooking up with, and there is a slow-mo walk scene in a bar or a club, Pags, where he comes around the corner and she's like, oh, there's my guy, I love him. And my question to you is, which song would you have playing over you in a club or bar if you could set up a movie-like scene to where there's a smoking hot chick over there and you're going to slow-mo strut over and act all cool?
Oh, man, I saw this on Twitter. It was freaking hilarious. Some of the stuff that people put on Twitter were great. If I had to dig into the archives of my favorite songs, I would go with, stay with me here, Turn My Swag On by Soulja Boy.
Oh, yes.
How about a bit?
Turn my swag on. Took a look in the mirror and say, what's up? Yeah, I'll get money. Oh, man, you're throwing the clock back.
That would be my one. If I had to go with a second one, I may go Still Fly by the Big Timers, but I'd have to wear the outfit of gator boots with the pimped out Gucci suits.
He got no job, but he's still fly.
Oh, yeah.
Those are two good ones, man. I like those.
What about you?
I'm coming out to The Jam by my boy Grits. Year or two after your songs there, but The Jam I speak of is My Life Be Like Ooh, Ooh. My life
that's
be
a
like,
good one.
Ooh. Yeah, dude. So I was watching those and I was like, oh shit, what would I be coming out to?
Seriously, dude. Those are all quality ones, and we should make a video for it and throw it on Twitter.
There it is. We'll get the slow-mo rolling on the iPhone and acting all sweet.
Oh, man. Those are some good ones. That's a fun little game to play to finish the episode.
I like it there. Wrapping it up for the Stream My Pod podcast.
Stream it!
And this is Miho with Pags, as always, from Too Close to Call. Follow us on the social media platforms. Give us a 5-star review there on what is still iTunes, but will soon be podcast app through Apple, as well as Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you're listening to us. Give us a review. We appreciate it. And we'll be talking to you guys next week with basically everything out there that you need to
stream. Later, guys.
Peace.